Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the hidden biases baked right into the technology we use every single day. We're talking about invisible rules that can shape everything from what you see on social media to whether or not you get a job interview. And it all comes down to something called algorithmic bias.
So let's just jump right in with a real story. Picture this. You're applying for your absolute dream job. You've polished your resume, you've triple-checked it, you hit send. But here's the thing you might not know. The first person to read it might not be a person at all. It could be an algorithm.
A few years back, Amazon decided to build an AI to screen resumes. I mean, it makes sense, right? They wanted to automate their hiring process, find the best people super quickly, and just, make things more efficient by having a machine sift through the mountains of applications they get. But, and this is a huge but, there was a massive problem. The AI was trained on a decade's worth of the company's own hiring data, which, it turns out, was mostly from men. So what did the AI do? It taught itself to prefer male candidates. It literally started penalizing resumes that had the word women's in them, like captain of the women's chess club, and it even downgraded graduates from 2 all-women's colleges.
Now, this wasn't some kind of weird glitch. It was a reflection. The AI didn't just invent sexism out of thin air. It learned it from the data we gave it. And that, right there, gets us to the absolute core of this problem. All right, so let's really break this down. Algorithmic bias isn't about some sci-fi robot having its own opinions. No, it's all about what happens when we train an AI on data that's already skewed or stereotyped or just plain incomplete. The AI just learns our own unfair patterns and then, well, it repeats them at a massive, massive scale. And this is the thing you really have to get. These AI systems, they don't understand concepts like fairness or equality. They are just incredibly powerful pattern-finding machines. They look at mountains of data, and when they spot a pattern, even a really biased one, they lock onto it. They're just holding up a mirror to the information we give them, reflecting our own societal biases right back at us. There's this classic saying in computer science that just perfectly describes this whole situation. Garbage in, garbage out. If the data an AI learns from is biased, then its decisions are going to be biased too. It's really that simple. The output can only ever be as good or as fair as the input. And this goes even deeper. The whole idea of AI being neutral is a myth because humans are involved at every single step. People decide what data to even collect in the first place, how to label that data, and what the algorithm's goal should even be. The bias isn't an accident. It's kind of built in from the start, a feature of the human world the AI is learning from. But what happens when these biased results become the new data the system learns from? Well, that's when things get really dangerous. You get what's called a feedback loop, and it can amplify a tiny initial bias until it's just deafening. Okay, so take something like predictive policing software. It's supposed to predict where crime is going to happen. But here's the catch. It learns from arrest data, not from actual crime rates. So this creates this really dangerous cycle where the AI tells police to patrol neighborhoods that have already been historically over-policed. And naturally, when there are more police around, you get more arrests, which then proves to the AI that it was right all along. And that's the whole problem right there. The system isn't actually getting better at finding crime. It's just getting more and more certain that crime only happens in the places it's already looking. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, just written in code. Honestly, the best way to think about this is that horrible screeching sound you get when a microphone gets too close to a speaker. The sound from the speaker goes into the mic, gets amplified, comes out louder, goes back into the mic, and it just gets louder and louder. The system's output becomes its own input, amplifying that initial little bias over and over again. And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. This feedback loop, this mirror of data, it has real and sometimes devastating consequences all across our society, affecting everything from our health to our ability to get a loan. So in healthcare, there was this widely used algorithm designed to figure out which patients needed extra care. Sounds good, right? Except it turned out to be systematically overlooking Black patients. So why did this happen? Well, the algorithm used a person's past healthcare costs to predict how sick they were. But because Black patients, for a whole bunch of systemic reasons, have historically received less expensive care for the same conditions, the AI just wrongly concluded that they were healthier. Research found that almost 18% of Black patients who needed that extra help were totally missed by the system. And it happens in finance, too. Studies have found algorithms that charge Black and Latinx borrowers higher interest rates for mortgages than white borrowers who have the exact same credit profile. And over a 30-year loan, that small difference can end up costing a family tens of thousands of dollars. It's a huge deal. This stuff even affects how computers literally see our faces. A researcher named Joy Bulam-Winnie discovered that a lot of commercial facial recognition systems are way more likely to misidentify darker-skinned women than light-skinned men. And that can lead to things like false arrests and dangerous misidentifications. So what was going on? Well, it all came down to the data. The system just hadn't been trained on a diverse enough set of faces. So to the AI, a person with darker skin didn't quite fit the pattern of what a face was supposed to look like. It's a massive and, frankly, a very dangerous blind spot. Okay, so after hearing all this, you're probably wondering, what does this all mean for me? What are we supposed to do? Well, it means we can't just blindly trust these automated decisions. As these systems get woven more and more into our daily lives, we all have to become more critical thinkers about the technology we're interacting with. This is where we all have to get a little smarter about the tech we use. So when you run into an AI system, whether it's your social media feed or something your kid's school is using, just empower yourself by asking a few simple questions. Who actually built this thing? What kind of data was it trained on? And maybe most importantly, who really benefits when it makes a decision? It's about not being a passive consumer anymore, but an active, informed user. Because at the end of the day, all of this technology is just a mirror. The fact that algorithmic bias exists isn't really a failure of the machines. It's a pretty harsh reflection of the historical and societal biases we still haven't solved in our own world. It forces us to look hard at what's in that mirror and ask ourselves a really tough question. Are we willing to build something fairer?